Hey friends, you are on Find Your Mind. Today I'm gonna discuss about classical conditioning. It was presented by Ivan Pavlov in 1897. I'm gonna discuss different principles in classical conditioning. So friends, there are 5 principles of classical conditioning. The first one is acquisition, second one is spontaneous recovery, third one is generalization, fourth one is discrimination, and the fifth and last is extinction. So the first one is acquisition. Uh, it is basically early stage of learning process, during which time a response is first established. The subject will begin displaying behavior when a stimulus is presented. So we can say that the behavior has been acquired. In classical conditioning, it refers to the period when stimulus comes to evoke the conditioned response. In acquisition, conditioned stimulus and unconditioned stimulus are repeatedly paired to create an association. Multiple pairing are required, but the number of trials needed can vary depending on what is being learned. For example, according to classical conditioning, imagine that you are conditioning a dog to lie wait in response to the sound of a bell. You repeatedly pair the presentation of food with the sound of the bell. In other words, you are preparing your dog to acquire certain behavior. Now, moving towards generalization. The tendency to respond in the same way to different but similar stimuli is known as generalization. For example, Ali developed a conditioned response of fear and anxiety to hearing classical music because of accident. If he were to have same response to any classical music, it would be called generalization. Now, taking an example from classical conditioning. In classical conditioning, a dog conditioned to lie wait to a tone of a particular pitch and loudness will also lie wait regularity in response to tones of higher and lower pitch. Moving towards the third principle, and it is spontaneous recovery. It is a phenomenon of learning and memory. It was first named and described by Ivan Pavlov in the classical conditioning. It refers to the re-emergence of a previously extinguished conditioned response after a delay. For example, cat begins to run again when the door opens. Also, imagine that you have used classical conditioning to train your dog to expect food. Whenever he hears the ding of the bell, when you ring the bell, your dog runs to the kitchen and sits by his food bowl. It involves the ability to distinguish between one stimulus and similar stimuli. In other words, the ability to perceive and respond to different stimuli. It is considered more advanced form of learning than generalization, as the sight or smell of particular food causes nausea because it caused stomach upset in the past. In classical conditioning, smell of food is conditioned stimulus, while when the dog salivates, then the salivating to the smell is unconditioned response. The last one is extinction. When a conditioned stimulus is presented alone without an unconditioned stimulus, the conditioned response will cease. Like the dog was conditioned to salivate to the sound of a bell. Extinction can occur in all types of behavioral conditioning. If the bell does not ring, the dog will no longer produce saliva. So friends, this was all classical conditioning. Hope you get an idea about classical conditioning and understand it well. I tried my best to deliver. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe to my channel. Stay blessed. Allah Hafiz.